Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joseph Hewes. Thank you for watching. You know, I love doing videos where I can kind of combine, more than one interest into, a video. And, of course, many of you know that I've done my family tree. You know, I kind of shared my Civil War heritage, where I found, Civil War ancestors and stuff like that. And I just love doing genealogy, that type of research. But I also love William Shakespeare and, Romeo and Juliet and Hamlet, and, I've read the plays and I've seen all the TV and movie productions of it, and even YouTube productions of it. Recently, I kind of ran across that an authorship issue with William Shakespeare. Evidently there is a large group of people, certainly probably not a majority of Shakespeare fans, who have come under the conclusion or the idea that William Shakespeare did not write his his plays, and that it must have been a pen name, or because basically what their whole premise is that the plays display a level of education, a level of familiarity with Queen Elizabeth's court, and the mechanisms and movings of power in Elizabethan England doesn't really flow from the common background that William Shakespeare of Stratford-upon-Avon would really have or have access to. So I was thinking, of course, the main argument of the authorship people is that there's no physical evidence, no written evidence of William Shakespeare having a history of or a profession or a vocation of writing, other than names on the front of plays as they were published or whatever. So I came up with this great idea for okay, now I gotta let you know straight out that I kind of believe, I'm kind of leaning towards the non-believers, the people who don't believe that William Shakespeare wrote the plays and the sonnets or whatever. But I came up with this great idea, and sometimes you come up with a great idea for the other side, for the side you don't necessarily agree with, but you come up with an approach that maybe they can take to kind of prove their case. And that comes back to the genealogy thing, where I'm pretty good at researching genealogy. I found all kinds of fantastic, wonderful things about my family, 100, 200, 300 years ago. I got letters and all kinds of census stuff and everything else. Somebody should do some research into this guy, William Shakespeare. I mean, he was, after all, the greatest writer of all time, the greatest English writer of all time. And I imagine that Elizabethan England is a massively documented period of time. I'm sure there's just records all over the place that would prove that William Shakespeare was indeed a writer. Maybe you could just look through the archives of all the cities in the in the area, in London and Stratford-upon-Avon and all the cities in between. You could probably also look for letters written by people to each other saying, hey, that William Shakespeare guy? He was over at my house and we were talking about his new play, Hamlet. Yeah, we had some drinks, hey. Or maybe you could get some letters from his family members. He had brothers and sisters. She had children who had children. Check out all of their, see if you can find some letters written by them saying, remember Uncle William, he left one of his plays over at my house, or he gave me this for my birthday, Uncle William, finally, I guess a final piece of evidence that would really prove your case is if you could find anybody at all in England who knew William Shakespeare at the time, and they wrote a letter, or they have some kind of artifact that says William Shakespeare was a writer. I paid him 50 pence to write this for me, or whatever. That's all you got to do, really. I mean, I'm sure it's never been done before, since there's, from what I understand, there's no physical evidence of it. So I'm sure nobody's looked through the archives. I think you should do it. I think you should, just find the evidence that he wrote, other than, 100 years later, somebody saying, well, Shakespeare wrote. Find something during his lifetime that says he wrote something, or he was paid to write something, or Uncle Willie left me this play, or something, That would be a great idea, okay? All right, that's my idea, just views, I'm sure I'll be rewarded for this, and you can thank me later for coming up with a suggestion. Good luck. Find something, man. You got to prove the case. Joseph Hewes, signing out. Thanks a lot.